Are you doing?
Nothing special as usual at home.
Oh, yeah, well, like most of the world, unfortunately.
We have to stay inside.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my name is Rick, and what is your name?
My name is Prakash.
Well, it's very nice to meet you today. I'm in the United States in Texas, and where are you at?
I'm from India.
India, and that's where you are now?
Sorry.
Are are you in India now?
Yeah, I'm Indian.
Oh,
I'm Indian.
oh, okay. And what city are you from?
Uh, I live in the Gujarat state, very close to Ahmedabad city.
Okay. Well, I see you've spent a little time on Cambly. How long have you been on Cambly now?
I have been using Cambly more than 3 months. Have you seen me on
Oh,
Cambly?
I don't think so, but I'm looking at your profile now. It says you've spent 269 minutes on Cambly, so a little while. So is there anything in particular you would like to work on today, or would you just like to have a conversation for a few minutes?
Yeah, I have a little bit conversation from you. I want to ask you something about you today, and I also want to learn something about the accent.
About accent. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we can start out by maybe you could just tell me a little about yourself.
Uh, Okay, as I told you, my name is Prakash and I'm a teacher in Gujarat. And I like to teach, I like public speaking, I like to read books, I like traveling, and I like to make some new friends from the different states and different countries.
Mm. Well, Cambly's great for that, for practicing your English, and at least for me, making meeting people from all over the world like you. That's very exciting for me.
Yeah, it makes it
So
also
yeah,
exciting moment.
hmm so yeah, you're a teacher. What do you teach?
I teach English and Sanskrit language.
Uh, oh, okay. Well, that's and can you tell me a little about your family? Are you married? Do you have children?
Okay, I have been married for 15 years and I have a daughter. She's also 10
Uh,
years old.
uh,
That's all.
oh, okay. So I guess during the time of coronavirus here, most people are staying home. I guess you're teaching online now.
Yes, I use Zoom application to teach online. Sometimes I make
Mm-hmm.
some WhatsApp videos and I send to my students. I
Mm-hmm.
send some PDF file also to do the homework at home and they send me and I check. I give them the review about that.
Mm-hmm. And how have you and your family been dealing with staying at home as much as you have to stay at home now? What sort of things do you do to occupy your time staying at home all this time?
Yeah, it's not good for us, but we thought when the lockdown period started, we thought, how should we use this lockdown period to make ourselves better? Then we started reading something and I'm quite busy person actually. I have started learning two online courses, English for business, and one more is about the public speaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So you said you were interested in working on your accent. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of ways to approach this is actually just from what I'm hearing, your English is probably at a higher level than most of the people I speak with on Cambly. You're probably at a high intermediate to low advanced level. And yeah, you do have somewhat of an accent, but I can still understand you perfectly. I mean, it's yeah, your accent is not to the point where I have trouble understanding you. But understand you still would like to reduce your accent some. So there's a couple of ways that I approach that when a student makes that request. Number one is pronunciation lessons. That always helps, because as you know, a lot of the sounds in English are very similar, and a lot of students have difficulty making distinction between similar. So I think pronunciation lessons always help. And then my second approach is when a student requests an accent reduction. I like you are from India. I'm teach right now. I have another regular student from China and Japan who are interested in the same thing, and I usually try to look into um, accent reduction techniques for that specific culture. That usually helps. um, like it's already helped a lot with my Japanese students. So I like to take those two approaches. Is we do pronunciation lessons, and then I look into techniques for their specific culture. So in your case, it would be Indian, and I find videos for you to watch and uh, to, to help with accent reduction, and exercises to do, and plus just regular pronunciation lessons. So that's my approach, and it has helped with a couple of my students. And if you would be interested in working with me in that regard, that would be my approach, and I'd be happy to work with you along those lines. So does that sound good to you?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, I want to ask you. Okay, all countries have different. British people have different accents. Canadians have different accents. US people have different accents. So, which accent should I learn?
Uh, it depends. I mean, you said you're a teacher, and some people prefer to learn an American accent. Some people prefer to learn a British accent, and even in the United States, there are different regional accents. Like I'm from the Southeast, so I have a Southern accent. But when I'm speaking on Cambly, I try to speak in a more well, in the United States, we'd call it a Midwestern accent, which is sort of a generic American accent, but I still have a hint. I still have some Southern accent, but the two main English accents are American and British, and it's really I can't say which one is best. There's not really a best. It's just what you prefer. Are you going to be dealing with more American students or more British students, or basically it's a preference? What do you want to sound like? And if if you would prefer an American accent, of course, yeah, I'd be happy to work with you. And and if you'd prefer a British accent, it would probably be best to work with a British tutor. But yeah, there's not really a best one. It's really just all preference. I will say this, that most students tell me that they have more difficulty understanding a British accent.
No, I'm quite comfortable with US people. That's why I prefer to talk with the US people. I always choose the US
Yeah,
people. And one more
yeah,
thing I want to share with you, sir.
of course, of
Okay,
course.
this is my opinion. Okay, English is a language. It's not a knowledge. We learn any language of the world just to communicate with the people. We have some
Hmm.
ideas. We have some feelings. We have some information. We want to share with the people. That is a function of the language.
Absolutely.
Then, and when we talk about the different accents, okay, so why should we learn different accents? If we learn only
I,
one accent, is it enough for us? Or the people can understand whatever I'm speaking? I'm speaking English, and you can understand. You can understand my
mhm.
English. That's enough or not?
uh, for for me personally, the fact that I can understand your English is enough for me. But the thing is, the thing that why a lot of people want to reduce their accent is if you're going to, for instance, if you're going to be working for an American company or moving to America, sometimes an accent, um, employers sort of, are looked down on an accent, which is why maybe it's, whether it's fair or not, I don't know. Maybe it's not fair, but uh, that's the way it is. It's like if you're going to work for an American company, an American employer, most American employers prefer um, not much of an accent. It's like if someone has a heavy accent, which you don't have a heavy accent, but if someone has a heavy accent, they have the impression they're going to have trouble communicating with customers or clients, which that's also understandable too. But um, yeah, so there's a practical reason employers want people to be able to communicate effectively with customers and clients, but there's also a bit of a bias there also. It's like, well, we want we want our people to sound the same. So maybe that's the part of it is that's not so fair, but unfortunately that's the way it is, and not just in America, in the UK also. So that's why a lot of people
Okay.
prefer,
Okay.
yeah, to work on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Sorry, excuse me, sir. I want to learn English, or I want to improve my English for two reasons. First, I'm an English teacher here. So if I improve
of
my
course.
English, my students will get the benefit.
Mm-hmm,
Second, my dream is to be a good public speaker, and I want to make my speeches in English language. That's the reason
mm-hmm,
to improve my English. So what should I do?
mm-hmm. Well, I think what one thing you're doing it correctly is practicing with a native speaker. I mean, that's one of the best things you can do is practice with a native speaker, someone who's been speaking English all their life. And and as you know, probably I'm also a second language learner. I live in a border city in Texas. I'm learning Spanish, so I'm also learning a second language. So I know the best way to improve your English or any language you're learning is by as much exposure to it as you can possibly have. Speaking, reading, listening, writing, it's all important. So the thing is, the more the better. It's like I understand you have a life outside of just learning a language, so there's only so much time you can devote to it. But I mean, the fastest way to improve learning a second language is by immersing yourself in it. And like I mean, the ideal situation would be to live in an English speaking country, and then you're forced to use it every day, all the time, and that's the fastest way to improve. So for most people on Cambly, that's not an option. But I always tell them that yeah, you're
So
doing the right.
in
So
your
yeah,
opinion, I can say I should visit English speaking country like USA.
it if it's an option for you. I mean, obviously, right now we can't travel, but yeah, I mean that would be the best way is to like for instance, in 2016, I spent 3 months in Nicaragua in Central America, and in that 3 months, my Spanish probably improved more than it had in the past 2 years because I was forced to speak Spanish if I wanted to eat, if I wanted to buy a telephone, anything. You have to use it to live. But anyway, unfortunately, we're almost out of time. It's going to cut us off here in about 30 seconds. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to meet you. And if you would like to work with me in the future, I would be happy to help you with pronunciation, accent reduction, or any other aspect of English you'd like to work on.
Definitely, it's my pleasure to talk with you, and I promise I will improve my accents and I will talk to you again.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Goodbye. You have a nice day.
Same to
Mhm.
you. Bye bye.
Mhm. Bye.